Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make chocolate cookies, and this is what they look like. This chocolate cookie is sweet and it's buttery and it has a really nice soft texture and it's full of chocolate chips. So the first thing that you will need to do is to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius, and then you will need a baking sheet. I've lined mine with parchment paper, but you could just lightly butter it or spray it with one of those non-stick sprays. Now, to make the batter, if you have a stand mixer like I have, use your paddle attachment. You could use a hand mixer, or really, we're just mixing all these ingredients together, so you could mix it by hand with a wooden spoon. First thing we will need is a half a cup, 113 grams of butter. I'm using unsalted butter. I like the flavor, and I like to control the amount of salt in the recipe, but if you have a favorite salted butter, then by all means use that. And have your butter at room temperature. I'm just going to beat it on medium-low speed just until it's nice and smooth. Okay. And whenever you're making any kind of batter, periodically stop, scrape down the sides and the bottom of your bowl. And next, I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup, 70 grams of light brown sugar. If you're measuring with a measuring cup, then kind of pat it down. But if you have a scale, which I recommend, you don't have to worry about that. And then I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup, 50 grams of granulated white sugar. And then for flavoring, 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of pure vanilla extract. The vanilla is simply for flavoring. If you don't want a vanilla flavor, you can just leave that out. And now I'm just going to mix this on medium speed just until everything's mixed together and we get a little bit of air in the batter. Okay, so that's all mixed together. Scrape. And next we're going to add 1 large egg, and that would be 50 grams without the shell. And again, have your egg at room temperature, and then I'm just going to beat that in. Okay, simple enough. So now, in a separate bowl, I have 1 cup, which is 130 grams of all-purpose flour. You may know that as plain flour. These are chocolate cookies, so we're going to add 1/4 of a cup, 25 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. My choice here is Dutch processed. I find this chocolate cookie, it has chocolate flavor, but it's not like really strong, like say a brownie. It's more a soft chocolate flavor, so I like to use the Dutch process. And then you will need just a 1/2 teaspoon, 2 grams of baking powder, along with 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of salt. So if you use salted butter, I would just leave out that salt. And I'm just going to whisk this together. Easy enough. Okay, and now I'm just going to add this. Now you want to start your mixer off on low speed. We don't want that coming up into our face. And I'm just going to mix that about halfway, and then we'll add our chocolate chips. Okay, it's almost mixed in. So, cocoa powder likes to stick. So now, our chocolate chips, we are adding lots. 1.5 cups, which is about 260 grams. Now, you could use white chocolate chips, you could use semi-sweet, bittersweet, even milk chocolate chips. So today, I'm going to use a combination of the white and a semi-sweet. So you can use just one combo, whatever you like. And I'm just going to beat that in on low speed. Okay, and we are done. Okay, let's clean all this up. So now at this point, if your batter was really soft, and mine isn't, then you might want to cover and refrigerate it for, a half hour, an hour until it firms up. Actually, if you didn't want to bake all your cookies off, you can put the batter into the fridge for a day or two and then just bake them off when you want them. Okay. Now the size I'm making, you can make your cookies any size you want. I'm using 2 tablespoons of batter. It's a stiff dough. 2 tablespoons. If you wanted to and you had a scale, you could measure out, which would be 40 grams per cookie. So you can use like a tablespoon, or this ice cream scoop actually holds 2 tablespoons. So that's what I'm going to use. The important thing when you're making it is that every cookie is about the same size, so then it bakes in the same amount of time. That's your important thing when you're measuring out your cookies. And I'm not big, I'm going to space these do spread a bit, so I'm going to put maybe 6 per sheet. And then what I'm going to do, you can use your hand or a spoon. I'm just going to flatten that. If you use an ice cream scoop, just flatten it a bit so it doesn't have that dome. Now these are going to spread as they bake. So now, everyone's oven is a little different, and you got to be careful with cookies because, a minute or two will totally change your texture. I'm going to say 10 minutes. And you want to rotate your baking sheet front to back halfway through for even baking. Now what you're looking for, these, like I said, will spread. But you want the outside, when you touch it, to be firm. But you want, this is how I like it, the center to be a little soft. So, because I like these cookies kind of soft. So the outside firm, center still looks, when you touch it, soft. So I'm going to say about 10 minutes. Okay. So our chocolate cookies are done. They did spread a little. I know it's hard to tell, but when I feel the outside is set, but right in the center, it's still soft when I touch it. So that's how I like them. So put your baking sheet on a wire rack. We are going to let these sit, maybe about 5 minutes, just to let them cool and firm up, and then use your spatula to transfer them to a wire rack to finish cooling. Now you could bake off the rest of the cookies. I just wanted to tell you, there's another way. You could freeze these cookies unbaked. So what I've done is put them on a baking sheet, and then just put them like this in the freezer, let them freeze, and then take them and put them in a container or plastic bag or something, and then you could freeze them for about a month. And then you could just, whenever you feel like a chocolate cookie, you can just take it out, put it on a baking sheet, and bake them off. Because they're frozen, it's going to take like a few minutes longer for them to bake. But that's a great way to have, cookies in the freezer for whenever you feel like it. So I'm just going to let these cool, and when we come back, we will try one. Okay, so let's try one. They're still a little warm, just how I like them. Oh, you can just see the melted chocolate chips. Oh. A great cookie when you want your chocolate fix. They are so soft and moist And you have the cocoa powder, gives a, a really nice chocolate flavor, not too strong. And then, of course, the white and the semi-sweet chocolate chips, a really great tasting cookie. So you have to try these. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of JoeyBaking.com.